How much of your life has been spent worrying about things that never happened? The conversation you were sure would go badly. The mistake you thought would ruin everything. The problem you were convinced was coming. You imagined it. You felt the stress of it. Maybe you even lost sleep over it. And then, nothing happened. Almost 2,000 years ago, the Roman philosopher Seneca recognized this strange habit of the human mind. He wrote that we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Think about that. The problem itself may never arrive, but the suffering already has. This is one of the great traps of overthinking. Your mind takes something that might happen and experiences it as though it already has. Imagine you're waiting to hear about an important decision. Maybe it's a job, a medical test, a difficult conversation, or something involving money. You don't know what will happen, but your mind hates uncertainty, so it begins creating answers. What if I lose the job? What if something is wrong? What if they say no? What if I made a terrible mistake? Soon, you're not dealing with one problem. You're dealing with 10 imaginary versions of it. Your body doesn't necessarily know the difference. Your heart beats faster. You become distracted. You can't sleep. You become irritable. The future has invaded the present. Seneca understood this because his own life contained very real reasons for anxiety. He lived close to political power in ancient Rome. He accumulated enormous wealth. He became an advisor to Emperor Nero. He experienced exile, political danger, and eventually received an order from Nero to take his own life. Seneca knew what real danger looked like. Yet he repeatedly warned against suffering before suffering was necessary. Because when we fear something that hasn't happened, we create an additional problem. There is the event itself, and then there are all the imaginary versions of the event we experience beforehand. Sometimes the real event never comes, which means all that suffering accomplished nothing. This doesn't mean you should ignore the future. Preparation is useful. Planning is useful. Thinking through risks is useful. But there is an important difference between preparation and worry. Preparation ends with action. Worry usually ends with more worry. Preparation asks, what can I do? Worry asks, what if? And then asks it again, and again, and again. So the next time you find yourself spiraling, ask yourself one simple question. Is this happening right now? Not, could it happen? Not, what if it happens? Is it happening now? If the answer is yes, deal with reality. If the answer is no, recognize what your mind is doing. It is rehearsing a disaster. Then ask a second question. Is there something I can do about this today? If there is, do it. Make the phone call. Have the conversation. Save the money. Practice. Prepare. Get the information you need. Take whatever action is actually available. Then stop. Because once you've done what you can, continuing to worry doesn't make you more prepared. It simply makes you suffer twice. Seneca's philosophy was not about pretending that everything will be fine. Stoicism is often misunderstood that way. The Stoics knew perfectly well that life could be painful. People lose. People fail. People become sick. Plans collapse. Life changes without asking permission. Their answer wasn't to deny those possibilities. It was to refuse to experience them before they arrived. There is another reason this matters. You've probably already survived things you once worried about. Think back. There were days you thought would be unbearable, conversations you dreaded, failures you feared, problems that seemed enormous. Yet somehow, you handled them. Maybe not perfectly, maybe not without pain, but you're still here. That should tell you something. When tomorrow arrives, you will meet it with the person you are tomorrow. With whatever information you have then, with whatever options exist then. You don't need to solve every future problem today. You only need to handle what is actually in front of you. This is the discipline Seneca offers us. Separate possibility from reality. Separate preparation from worry. Separate what you can control from what you cannot. And when your imagination starts building disasters, return to the present. Look around. What is actually wrong right now? Often you'll discover something surprising. The thing causing your suffering hasn't happened. Maybe it never will. And if it does, deal with it then. Prepare where preparation is possible. Act where action is possible. But don't give imaginary disasters real hours of your life. The future will arrive soon enough. You don't need to live it twice. So when your mind begins racing toward tomorrow, remember Seneca. Come back to what is real. Do what is yours to do. Let go of the rest, and never forget, it hasn't happened.